So I immediately started surrounding myself with creatives way better than me. So I started an associate. 9 months in, I get converted. 6 months after, I get promoted, and then I started getting promotions like once every 2 years. And I was like, this can't be my peak as an artist, as an individual artist. Either I go on this wonderful career path at EA, which is, sky was the limit. I'm breaking my body to do this, to work up until 3, 4 a.m. every day after work. I started neglecting my responsibilities as a father, and I started absolutely neglecting my relationship with my wife. Reach out to a recruiter on LinkedIn and say, I want to work here, and not be afraid to fail. Don't let your ego interfere with your growth, ever. The more you think you're top shit, the less you're going to learn.
Hi, welcome to Still My Job, the podcast where we explore the journeys from some of the most fascinating figures in the video game industry. I'm your host, Mark, and today I'm going to be talking to Alex, a UI design lead with an amazing background in both the music and video game industry. Thanks for joining us, Alex. Alex, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. I gotta be honest with you. We talked a bit just for like 10 seconds now. I was feeling really chill, and the moment that timer went down, I started having anxiety. I don't like this, man. But thank you for having me. I think it's amazing what you're doing, and yeah, thanks for having me, bro.
Thank you. Yeah, this is just meant to be like a casual conversation between you and me, but we're being recorded. So, yeah, that's the only difference. So anyway, before we get into video games, I really wanted to hear your experience in the music industry because I think it's very interesting the move you did from being a rock star to getting into video games. So if you can explain us a little bit about that phase and what you applied into video games from that.
It's more common than you would think, actually. Talking with a lot of designers in the industry, having a background in music and then transitioning to either game design or visual arts or something, it's more common than you would imagine.
Mhm.
But the segue, I guess, into gaming, the actual learning that I did on the music side, on studying an instrument, whatever that is for anybody, was the people that I surrounded myself with. The moment that I got my instrument, I was reaching out to people that are also musicians, way better than me. They could see I was excited. I was at the beginning, and they taught me a bunch of stuff. Or just by sitting around them, jamming with them, I learned a bunch of stuff. So I immediately started surrounding myself with creatives. For me, music changed my life, and it brought me to where I am here today. Music oriented me towards gaming. Through music, I met my wife. Um, so music was that moment when I picked up the guitar. My entire trajectory for my life changed, because prior to music, it was photography, right? So I still had the artsy angst, but I would have never thought that it felt like such a distant dream to even think about, or have the boldness to think about, that I would ever work in a game in the gaming industry. To me, and even today, but as a kid, I thought the gaming industry was way more convoluted, complicated, and you needed to be like, an expert at your craft more than Hollywood productions. So in my, the way I perceived it as a kid, video game development was way above Hollywood productions, blockbusters and stuff like that. So it wasn't something that I could even imagine myself doing. But the key takeaway through music, and I got into a band, multiple bands, start with punk rock and all that stuff, and eventually I was very fortunate, lucky enough to do an audition for a band which was already famous in Romania, kind of established, still is. Um, the lead vocalist, OG Rockstar, he won an MTV Music Award. So the traction was already there. So they took a liking to me, probably because I was younger and stupid. I don't know, but I'm very, very grateful that they did, because I learned a lot, not only on the music side but on life itself.
But it sounds to me like this experience taught you the power of connections, I guess, and being surrounded by creative
Yeah.
people, which is amazing. And to me, also, it's so exciting to be performing live in front of people, and even more with like an experienced band, because it seems like you were the youngest from the team,
Yeah.
so that might have been nerve wracking. I can imagine the
Oh
first.
my god. Yeah. Oh, okay. Like it's going to be TMI, but you know me, I'm unhinged. I think some of the first concerts I had, uh, I could barely hold number two in. Like I was about to explode. And we finished the concert, and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to jump straight into a washroom. But the audience wanted an encore. And I was doing no, no. But the audience wanted an encore. And I was like, dude, like, I'm going to die here. Like sweating. Like, and like, it seemed like every time, even they did say something to me. They said, the moment, my bandmates, the moment you go on stage, it seems like you want it to be over as soon as possible. So I was every time I was super scared, like the anxiety, like I had to go to the bathroom like three, four, five times before went onto stage. It's so hard to expose yourself like that in music. You because we didn't play covers, we played only originals, right? So we worked so hard and practiced so much, like three, four times a week. We went on tour the entire country, and your whole life becomes this. And then you work in your studio close, and then you expose yourself to a public, and you always have that, would they like it, would they not? But nobody comes to a concert, what I didn't know then or didn't realize then, nobody comes to a concert to criticize you. They come because they want you to succeed. They want to applaud you, they want to be there, they want to enjoy themselves. Nobody goes to a concert and says, I'm going to go to this concert and I'm going to feel miserable and I'm going to make that band feel miserable. Nobody has that mindset. But again, I was young, very immature. But um, yeah, it was nerve wracking. All my band members were extremely talented, still are extremely talented. Wow. And I was, just picking up the bass and like, but they saw something in me, which I don't know what, but they did. And it was good. And I'm happy it happened.
Yeah, so obviously not at the same scale, but I think a lot of creatives have felt this imposter syndrome, and like, oh, you're surrounded by people who are way more talented than you, and you don't know if you're gonna, do the job properly. But yeah, at the end of the day, it all works out. But it's scary. I agree. How did you transition into the video game industry, and did you find any similarity toward, like, regarding that feeling that you had on live stage? Did you have that feeling
Yeah. Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
video game
Even
industry as
even
well?
as you mention it, that's a very good question, Mark. Even as you mention it, I get goosebumps because it is extremely similar. The feeling that you get, it comes in either like a hidden stage where you reach some milestones, or obviously when you release something. One of my friends, good friends, also a musician. Again, coming back to connections, worked at Electronic Arts, and they had an opening for a junior, like a super entry level, no expectations junior, right? So I did a test. The test was okay at the time. I was working for in a market visual designer, still a visual designer, but for a company that sells products like juicers and stuff like that. And I was doing the packaging, I was working the website, kind of a sweet knife dude. I think we all been there during our learning years. But this opportunity presented, my friend reaches out and say, we have an opening, it's for a junior. I don't know if it pays that much or different than what you're getting right now. He At the time, and I was like, yo, say no more. I don't care about the money. I just, it's my dream to do that. Like I would never think of myself working in the gaming industry because a segue video games defined our life. Mark, you and I, like, we all come from Mario, and hopefully it's gonna end with Mario. So yeah, and I was lucky enough to do a test. I looked over my test recently, and it was garbage, man. absolutely garbage. If I've seen that test right now and I'm hiring somebody, I would definitely didn't would not give that person a chance ever.
I mean,
No, no, no. I'm saying this because I knew, if it's me from now interviewing me from 10 years ago, I wouldn't give myself a chance. Just based on that, just based on that. But they gave me a chance as a contractor, so not full time.
did you always work in the FIFA series, or did you start working on another series?
No, so yeah, I always worked within FIFA. At the time, it was FIFA.
Mhm.
The new generation of consoles came out. It was a generation of PlayStation 4, and PlayStation 4. It was there. Yeah, PlayStation 4 came out just then. And what they do is they build another team because they don't share the in-game engine to work on PlayStation 3 titles, right? So that was the support they needed. So I came in, and the first thing I worked on was on FIFA 16 for Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. Yes, that was it. And across all modes except Ultimate Team. I never touched Ultimate Team. That was a different floor, different team, different entire thing. And I didn't understand Ultimate Team at the time. Yeah, so I always worked that out. Within EA, to answer your question, sorry for rambling, I always worked within FIFA. Yeah.
And did you have how? What was your role when you started, and how did your role evolve and your responsibility?
Yeah, so I started, like I mentioned before, I started like a super junior. I think the role was called assistant UI designer, like not even an associate or something, like really low level. And fair. It was fair, right? I didn't have any experience in gaming. I only knew to do graphic design for print, did some web, but it was fair.
Okay.
But I loved every effing second of it, Mark. So much. Every pixel moved on the screen, and I had to catch up a lot, Mark. I had to catch up a lot because it was, I wasn't, never did that before. But loved the team, and the team was so supportive, and the culture was amazing, and everybody was just there to, older than me, the designers currently of, but they wanted to just dump all this information and all these new tool sets and all these new skills and process and everything onto me. And it was exhilarating, and that gave me energy to absorb as much as possible, as fast as possible. Now, not even 9 months in, apparently I was doing a good job, and they said, you know what, we want you full time. Here's, like, a different salary, is a different, the things change. Things change. You become a maid, like, part of the family. And I was like, I started crying, like, oh my god, I can't believe this is happening. Like, because in my mind it was a 1 year contract, and after 1 year I'm done. It was a nice experience, but I need to find something else. But yeah, like, and so I started associate. 9 months in, I get converted. 6 months after, I get promoted, and then I started getting promotions like once every 2 years,
Wow.
till I became lead initially locally, and then lead for the studio in Vancouver, Romania. And I also was leading people in Manchester, and team I think was in San Francisco or somewhere in the United States. I can't remember. Yeah, huge responsibility, and a wonderful career path that I'm very proud of.
That's amazing. And what about your role now at Matchday? What can you say about it?
Yeah. Okay. So I reached that. Once you, this is for me, right? So this is my journey, my story. Once you reach, especially in a big corporation like EA, which is massive, once you become like a leader, be part of management or whatever, you don't get to spend. The expectations are for you not to be an individual contributor anymore. You need to work with through the team, not for the team, like, sorry, not for the team, but not be hands on. The expectations change. You will need to plan more. You will need to work with the development directors more. There's, your role changes. Funny enough, this is not just EA. I think this is, other studios like 2K Games or whatever. Funny enough, an artist, when he progresses in his career, he touches art less and less and less until the point of not at all. And he just sees beautiful art. So that's a thing I noticed. I was less and less involved. Now I still wanted to pull in, and I had wonderful team that sometimes they let me jump in, or you and I know. I used to spend a lot of time after work just to do something because I always wanted to express myself. And again, coming back to that inner ego, if you will, I was like, dude. At the time, I was 35, or I don't know, 36, 35. And I was like, this can't be my peak as an artist, as an individual artist. This can't be my peak. If I'm always in meetings and I'm always, directing or doing X and Y and Z, I'm gonna get behind on the personal level on learning this new software, this new AI stuff that is coming in, you know. And now I have two kids. My life changed, right? I don't have time to spend after work go into a trance and stay in that for another 7 hours into learning ZBrush, for example, right? So family life, kids made it very difficult for me. And so Matchday came in, right? And they knew exactly what they wanted. They wanted a hands-on artist that has experience within mobile, that has experience within console, that it's a visual experience designer that knows about motion, that knows about 3D, right? So I was thinking about it, like, either I go on this wonderful career path at EA, which is, sky was the limit, because EA is a wonderful place to grow. Most of the line producers, or a lot of the line producers, came from QV. Like, they were testers, and now they're like execs. So EA is a wonderful place to nurture that. No, no, I'm not joking. From tester to executive. Um, but at the same time, on a subjective personal level, I wanted to expand my craft. And my current circumstance, in which my time after work doesn't allow me that, I saw Matchday as a very awesome opportunity.
And it sounds also to me that you're very passionate on everything that you do, and that you have uh, great skill about learning new stuff. It seems like you're like a sponge, man, and you can learn all sorts of new stuff. So I think that's definitely a superpower. Um, and talking about this passion that you have, I also know that you dived into the NFT artist world. And I don't know if you want to talk about it, but I found it very interesting as well, that experience you had. So if you can share a little bit about it.
How did I do my NFT collection? So I, once entered this world, and I started buying NFTs. I spent crazy, tremendous amounts of money, right, on NFTs. But I got into a community. It's called the Crypto Moris, right? So the Crypto Moris motto was Memento Mori, but their entire gimmick about about the community they're building was mental health, and the fact that the Moris are kind. Now, at the time, I was right about where I'm gonna, like, maybe a year before I had my, like, started having some panic attacks and stuff like that. So I got drawn to that. I got attracted to that. Like, oh, these guys are, building this NFT community, and it's surrounded by, kindness, exchanging experience, supporting individual artists, and at the same time, they give you free they gave you free therapy, healthcare, like therapy. So it started
Wow.
as a oh, let me just do one. I'll do one 3D Mori. The artwork is done in a very different, very beautiful style by Iwan, and I just did. one in 3D, and I posted it, I guess, in Discord, the community, and everybody liked it. Oh my god! And then they started, could you do mine? Could you do mine? Could you do mine? Could you? Everybody just started DMing me, please do mine, please do mine, please do mine. And somebody said, please do mine. I'm gonna send you some money. I'm gonna send you some money. I'm gonna say, people started paying, right? I called my friend. I have a really good friend, and I was like, dude, can you help me out with this? Like, he's a very good 3D modeler sculptor. I was like, the volume that I'm getting, I think we can actually build a small collection, but I would need your help. So he was more than happy, and we had so much fun. The problem was I was working at up until 3 a.m. But I got the energy from the people. They were super supportive. Oh my God, do mine. This is amazing. They started posting on Twitter. Oh my God, he did this, he did that. Look at this. And then I started, after doing just replicas or changing something pre existing to 3, I did my own stuff. And I did a wide spectrum of some crazy stuff, which they weren't very popular. But then I did still the Morris, but reinterpreted. I put them in space. I put them on the moon. I put them with an alien face, and all kinds of crazy stuff, which is so much fun. And that's when I really got into 3D. Like, that's when I really got into 3D. I started liking it, and that whole entire world opened up for me. And I was like, oh my god, like this is an entire new world.
Were you at any point thinking maybe I can shift into this full time into NFT art?
Oh, yeah. Obviously, you think about that. Like, oh my God, if this is not ever going to end, everybody's going to want there's 10,000 holders. Everybody's going to want me to make. It's like, yeah, you think about it, right? You think about it. I never went full on serious thinking about it. Like, I'm going to quit my job to do NFTs. But it was something like, you know, this could potentially happen, right?
Uh huh.
But I try to enjoy each day, and every time it happened, and every time I launched a batch, because I couldn't launch all of them. I launched like five, six, eight, and then
Hmm.
another 2 weeks pause. I was working 2 weeks on them, and then and people were waiting for them, and they wanted sneak previews and stuff. It was and it, People was like, you should be your own Discord. We want to talk to you. And I jumped into spaces, and people came into the spaces and
Whoa,
supported me. It
that's
was
amazing.
amazing. It was
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah, it was amazing. It really, I was so shy the first time I jumped into space. My voice was shaking, but then I saw the support. And I was like, "Oh my god, these people are wonderful. They actually really do appreciate this artwork." So it was a homage. Homage, you say? How do you say? Homage to the crypto more is what I did. Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
in that community.
That's an amazing experience. Too bad it's not going on the same way it
Up,
did.
what I'm hearing from a friend actually this morning. It's restarting, but right now it's restarting on Bitcoin with ordinals or something. Yeah, so it's restarting on Bitcoin.
Will you consider going back as a side hustle into NFT art, or is it something from the past?
No, what that proved to me was that, so uh, my second my daughter, my second child, was just born then, and that just proved to me that I'm breaking my body to do this, to work up until 3 4 a.m. every day after work. And I started neglecting my responsibilities as a father, and I started absolutely neglecting my relationship with my wife. um so as a side hustle, no. Mark, you know this better than I do because you have 3 kids.
Yes.
Insane. It's very hard to have a side hustle. It's very hard. I could barely have time to play a video game, and I love video games. It's very
Yeah,
hard.
100% agree with you. When you have kids, you think about time differently.
Yeah, yeah. But at the same time, do you need a side hustle when you love your job?
That's true.
That's the thing,
Yeah,
right?
that's a good point.
I love what I do. I love going to work every day. I absolutely love the people I'm working with, you included.
Thanks, man.
So I don't feel the need for a side hustle. I feel like express myself artistically. Maybe I'll do side hustle like passion projects. Like, at some point I picked up leather crafting and I started doing wallets and stuff. Now I'm thinking about carpenting, but not as a business.
Yeah,
Maybe just for friends and family.
yeah, that sounds great. Okay, I think this has been amazing. I've had some really good nuggets there, and I was thinking that maybe we can finish the conversation by giving some advice to aspiring designers. So, think that your 3 year old now is 16 and needs to decide, needs to wants to get into the video game industry and is deciding his career path. What would you suggest to someone who wants to get into video game industry? What do you think would be a good path?
Mark, I don't think you're gonna like my answer to
I don't
this.
have to like it.
Um,
Don't worry.
okay, okay. So normally I would say, yeah, go to art school, go to that.
I did
I think in
I've never went to a proper design school
me
or
neither.
anything like that. So I'm not I'm not an advocate for school, so don't worry about it. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I'm happy then. Okay, I'm happy. So if my son was a 16 right now, we live in the age, and they will live in a more advanced, way more advanced age. We live in the age of technology, brother. All the information or all the skills you want to skills you want to attribute yourself, learn. It's all over the internet, all over YouTube, all over Reddit, all over. Any skill you want to learn is on TikTok. So if a kid, my kid, wants to go into the video game industry, the first advice I would give him is to be bold. Reach out to a recruiter on LinkedIn and say, I want to work here, and not be afraid to fail. That's not be afraid to fail, because we all fail the first time we pick up something, right? Nobody has picked up an instrument and started just playing the guitar. Nobody in the history of nobody took pen to paper the first time and started doing photorealistic stuff. Nobody did that. We all fail the first time. So to be bold, yeah, I would be a good example. Be bold. If you wanna work for Nintendo, send a wonderful email. Send a one. I'm 16. My dream is to work for your company. I'm willing to accept whenever. My interest is not to earn a ton of money. I know that will follow me in the future. My interest is to learn from you. My interest is to steal your job, basically. My interest is, yeah, to acquire as much skills as possible.
That's wonderful. How did you personally do it? Like in terms of education, uh, what were your sources for UI design and everything you learned?
In terms of school, I went to I finished the University of Science of Communication and Public Relation, and then as a dare from my wife, I enrolled myself in a master's degree, bachelor degree. I don't know how you call it in English. I think master's in audio and video multimedia production. Yeah, but anyway, where I learned Andrew Kramer. Andrew Kramer is,
Big fan.
and I met him. I met him in a big. I was a huge fan. So my computer was so bad at the time when I discovered Andrew Kramer that couldn't even run After Effects. But I was eating like right now. You are eating and watching a TV show on Netflix. I was watching Andrew Kramer over and over again.
He's a legend.
So Andrew Kramer, yeah, he's amazing. He's absolutely amazing. So Andrew Kramer, I don't know. I was doing Creative Cow, a bunch of back in the day. There was like websites and everything. Now, the people around me, Mark, the people around me in my first job, second job, third job. I was very fortunate to be surrounded by very good artists. Some of them knew how to illustrate more than 3D, and so I spent time with them, shadowed them, uh, pleaded them to backseat drive me. Never be afraid to be backseat driven. Don't let your ego interfere with your growth, ever. The more you think you're top shit, the less you're going to learn, or the less you're going to allow yourself to learn. Be humble,
Yeah, I agree.
right?
100%. Okay, Alex, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you and learning about your background and your experiences. Till next time, I guess.
Talk soon. Thank you so much for having me. This was great.
To our viewers, thank you so much for joining in. I hope you found this conversation as inspiring as I did. And I also hope that you join us next time on Still My Job for more conversations about passion and creativity. Goodbye for now.